What's up, everybody? RT Sales is back again, and today, I want to touch base on something today. So, recently, I haven't had time to make a video of this, just because I've been doing other stuff, but I want to talk about, the new Hooligan pack, and I honestly, in my personal opinion, freaking love this pack, dude. But the one thing that, tipped on, there's definitely a car for everyone, drifters and everything, but what I want to talk about specifically is this car. So this car is the Bel Air, but it's the Hooligan version, and people were asking me, and tons of people were asking me, how do you make this thing wheelie? I want to download a tune. I don't know what tune that works, So I might as well, touch base, help people tune it, so, you can at least learn how to make it wheelie. Then if you want to make it your own tune, go right ahead after. But what you're going to want to do, first of all, is I'm going to show you the upgrades for this car. You definitely need to engine swap it. Now, I do prefer the stock engine because it sounds better, and it sounds amazing with the race turbo, but I'm going to show you everything that you need for this. So, let's go to the engine. You're going to need to engine swap this to a 6.2 liter V8, and you're going to be pushing about 1,000 horsepower. It's like the MX-5, where you can V8 swap it. You want to leave it rear wheel drive. I've seen people try to make this thing really all-wheel drive. I'm just like, why would you swap this all-wheel drive? You're going to want the turbo because you want the lag. You don't want instant power because then you'll just bottom out the car. Like, you'll not really bottom out. You'll slam the freaking ass of the car and drag it like you're fucking cambered shit. Leave everything else the same as opposed to the hood. You can choose either of the hoods. I do not recommend this because, number one, it doesn't look good. Number two, it affects the performance of the handling. Yeah, and this car needs all the help it can get turning. So everything I'm going to show you guys is going to be race. Aside from a few things, you can mess around with, your own tune. That's the wrong button. So yeah, everything's going to be race. And there's actually different tunes that, people have had. This making it work differently. But my tune's 100% guaranteed a wheelie to some extent. Now, I don't really get the gearing. I just made this for fun. This is also, the only thing you do not want to upgrade are these two. My tune is just for fun, it's just like, a wheelie launch, something that you can practice launching. The brakes, you're going to upgrade everything else. And the roll cage. The roll cage, you need to put it up there because the handling, you don't want the body of the car to be flexing. You're going to also want to, make it lighter so that way you can pull the front up. Now, what you're going to want to do, people have been messing this up. You're definitely going to want to use race tire compound because you want the stickier it could be. Just imagine it like a slick. Now, people keep making this like, oh, yeah, this will help a lot. This actually hurts the car, making the front of the car heavier because the thicker the tires, the more weight there is to the car. So you want to leave it like this. And the rear, you want to do this. Now, you do have the options, choose rims. I would recommend rims. The rims that make the handling a lot better. I would not recommend one that, because I don't know if there are any in here, like these. I would not recommend ones that add weight to it, because then again, it makes the car heavier, and it'll be harder, to pull off the wheelie, if you want to make your tune. Don't touch this as well. And that's about it for it. So we're going to abandon the setup, and I have two tunes up. Now let's get into a little bit of detail to how you do the wheelie. Well, many people be saying that you could, do a wheelie in first gear, you could do a wheelie in second gear, depending how you tune the car. But the problem is, when you wheelie it, you lose that much acceleration because you're lifting all the front of the car up into the air. So as we fast travel to the drag strip, we're going to show you, what to do for it. So, my tune that I'm going to be showing you right here, and I will get into the tune and what it is. Show you guys the tune in case you guys want to make it. But I do have two tunes. This is, the second gear. You throw it in second gear with manual. It does work manual with clutch, but it's a lot of timing. And you just slam it in second gear, floor it, and you do a wheelie in second gear, and you run all the way to the end of the drag strip. Tops out like 213 or something like that. This one, you have to accelerate to 4K RPM and let go of the brake at 4K RPM. You can't, hold at 4K. You have to accelerate, while holding the brake up to 4K and then let go of the brake and do a wheelie. But, people have been having it to work, and it's just a good overall tune. So what I'm going to be getting into is the tune that I have right now. So, two different things. One with the racing wheel, which some of you guys might be using, is completely different. I'm using my controller right now. It is a lot easier to do this with the controller. And what I'm going to show you guys to do for the first tune, because it does work on this car as well, is you can't hold it at 4K RPM for first gear. Let me just turn off manual with clutch to show you this. Then I'll show you guys how to do it with manual with clutch. So now the manual with clutch is off. What you're going to want to do is you accelerate to 4,000 RPM and then drop it. You don't want to, because look what happens when you hold it at 4,000 RPM. Nothing. See, that's I had the problem. Then I was like, hey, you know what? Some people might not be able to do it, and some people might just want this car, you know, just to wheelie off the line. So I created a tune that, you know, helps with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it in second gear, and I'll pull up telemetry so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just holding down the brake. And you just go. So yeah. Now you may be wondering, how could I be doing it? Now let's get into the tune setup of the car. The tune setup of the car, you're going to be running 15 PSI in both tires. You're going to want the final drive. This is important. The final drive is actually important. You need around 320s to like 350s. So I put it like right in the middle. I got 3.44. And the gear, you definitely want these two gears if you want to, you know, if you guys want to toy with this gear. But if you guys want a guaranteed wheelie, I recommend using the first three things: the final drive, first gear, and second gear. The third, fourth, fifth, and sixth takes timing, you know, how to progress the speed, and there's like a sweet spot. I guarantee it somewhere in here, but you know, you got to find that sweet spot and make it haul ass. Now the alignment, you're going to want the front of it to be positive camber. Now you may be wondering, why positive camber? Well, it lifts the front of the car up, because the wheels are, instead of going outward, they're going inward, pushing the car higher, using the inner part of the tire to push it up higher, as opposed to slamming it, making it lower. You don't want to touch this. You're going to want the angle to be 7.0, so that way, you know, the angle of the car, that's one of the factors in how you do the wheelie. Then you're going to want to stiffen this bitch up so hard. You want this bitch stiff, because you want the back of the car, when it comes up, you want it to bring the front too. You don't want it to be all jello-like. Next thing you're going to want to do to that is you're going to soften the front. If you want to tune it to your own way, you're going to choose the soft suspension. You're going to choose that. As soft as it is as good as it's going to wheelie. And the rear, do not stiffen it up all the way, because then it'll just, you know, be like the Michael Myers and just ground out. Now, what you're going to also want to do is you cannot mess with, like, you know, the ride height that much. It does not have that much playroom. What you're going to need is you're going to need it to be as high as possible, which I find ironic, because, you know, you think lower the car. But apparently in Forza physics, the higher the car, the more power it'll just lift the car, as opposed to, you know, uncompressing the suspension together. But, you know, that's props on Forza for actually having some realism to this game. Now, the rebound stiffness, this is one of the factors of why you cannot steer. So, the reason you cannot steer is because you need to have this to soft, because you need the front to be as soft as possible to lift up off the ground. Now, the bumper stiffness, you're going to want the front stiff, because the bumper stiffness, you want it to pick up the bumper. You don't want it, you know, just to be dragging there and to be like a jello. You want it to get pulled up, and you're going to want the rear to be soft as crap, because you want it to sink. So in a drag tune, picture this all-wheel drive, you want the ass to sink down. And that's what you're doing. You're sinking the ass and lifting the front. You don't touch the arrow. The brake, you can do with whatever you want. And you need 100, and you need 100 deceleration. So now I'm going to, I did not change this. I'm going to go back to there. Now we're going to show you guys how to use this if you do have manual with clutch on it. And this is still controller currently. So, manual with clutch is a lot different, because you're going to have to deal with a lot of factors. But with these tunes with manual with clutch, you know, because some people run drags with manual with clutch, you can't really do the boost because it'll just stall the engine. But there's a way around it. You just got to accelerate slowly through the controller. Slowly, and you'll be holding the boost. Once you're holding the boost, and you can see I'm holding the brakes, it'll automatically be holding the clutch even though. Then just let out the brake, and you'll launch with a wheelie. Now, the same thing is in second gear, but a little different. You don't want to launch it like that. If you want to launch a second gear, you just want to, you know, dump the clutch. Now, it's a lot harder to do this with the controller when you just dump it, because sometimes you'll get wheel spin like that. So you just dump it, and then the car will lift up. I recommend, you know, some tunes work better with manual clutch, some tunes work better, you know, with manual, but it's all preference in how you build the tune. So with if you're using a racing setup, which I'm not going to hook mine up because I have mine disassembled for the time being, it's going to be extremely different. You're going to literally need to toy with how much throttle you're putting, how much brake you're putting, and how much clutch. And once you balance all of that out, you know, you'll be wheeling for days. But, you know, just a little example of this car, you know, and the tune in case any guys do want to download it. Because some people, you know, they're like, hey, I don't want to, you know, spend tunes. I just want a car, you know, that launches. And honestly, my friend has his car tuned, and I was actually decently close. But for this run, I'm just going to, you know, run it with manual, because manual would clutch on a controller. For me, my personal experiences, I just hate it. I just hate it. I just kind of want to leave it as, you know, manual. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to launch it at 4,000. There we go. See, that's what happens when you launch it first gear, which is why I came up with the idea that you launch it in second gear. Because when you launch it in second gear, it's a lot smoother. Excuse me. Another thing about this car, if you hit this car with anything, and I mean legit anything, you hit this thing with the freaking Reliant Robin, this son of a bitch is going flying. It literally just does not care to go flying. But yeah, this car, it's just like the regular Bel Air. It is a hard time. The engine RPM starts going up and down, up and down, up and down. Just like the regular Bel Air when you try to, you know, drag tune it with the same engine. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful to everyone, you know, because some people have been wondering, how do I make this hooligan car wheelie? How do I do that? The tune is up there. You guys can take what you want from this video, choose what you want to do with it, and I hope I helped you guys, you know, create your own tune. If you guys did create your own tune using this video, let me know in the comments what you're titling the tune and your gamer tag and the number 2, and you never know, I might just download that tune, and I'll message you if I do download it. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.